David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I have for you the latest nature-inspired release from Narwhal, which is their Horizon series. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this new design for Narwhal, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Narwhal for providing this pen for review. Now, there are 4 different pens in this series, inspired by the Horizon at different times of the day. There is Dawn, Twilight, Dusk, and Aurora. The pen arrives in this custom box. From a business perspective, I understand the logistical benefits of having the same box for each of your pens, but from the perspective of a customer, I like it when a pen comes in a custom box. It makes it feel that much more special. Inside here is the actual box. It says Horizon on the front, and it has 4 vertical planes depicting the 4 different states of the horizon. Inside, we have a little 1-page use and care guide, and then we have the pen. And the pen that I have to share with you today is the Twilight. This is the Narwhal Horizon Twilight. Overall, this pen is a bit on the thin side and has a cigar shape. There are a number of interesting design elements of this new pen, but let's first start off with the resin. This resin is created by Starry Night Resins. Elise Longazel is the woman behind the brand and the creator of these custom resins. She does some really interesting work. This particular resin is a mix of pearlescent white and opalescent greens. With custom resins like this, I say this many times, but no 2 pens will look the same. But I like some of the unique elements this specific resin provides. I like this little vein line. I also like how on the top of this pen, the cap has darker elements, which visually spill over to the barrel, which then transition more into the pearlescent white. Okay, let's take a look at the top of the cap. It is topped by a metal piece, which comes to a rounded point. This transitions into the traditional Narwhal clip. I've said this during many reviews of Narwhal pens. Maybe I'm just trying to speak it into existence, but I've always thought that Narwhal was missing a signature design element by not having a clip inspired by the spiraling tusk of a narwhal. The current clip is a bit on the stiff side, and it does take some finagling with working with thicker fabrics. There is nothing inherently wrong with it, but I think a narwhal tusk clip would be a bit neat. The cap angles up before straightening out for the last 1.5 inches or so. That's where it meets up with an interesting design element of this pen, which is the wavy band. This curved metal ring represents the waves of the ocean. On the front, it is stamped with the company logo, and wave imagery encircles the band. It's unique, and I like it. At the end of the cap, there is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which begins with a generous ink window, which the company states represents the sky. This transitions into the barrel, which has an even rate of decline until you reach the piston knob at the end, which is a pearlescent dark brown resin with a rounded end. The cap twists off with 2 1/4 rotations, and underneath we have a stainless steel nib. This is an in-house nib made by Narwhal. This particular nib is a little smaller than a traditional number 6, but slightly larger than a number 5. In honor of Tony Gwynn, we will call it a 5.5 nib. The nib is available in fine, medium, broad, double broad, as well as a stub. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section begins with the cap threads, then it's straight until an angled transition to the aforementioned ink window. Having the threads at the beginning of the section can be both a positive and a negative in my experience. The positive is that the threads do a good job of acting as a positive deterrent from preventing your grip from slipping off the edge of the section. I don't find this resin section to be slippery at all though. But for me, the negative is that if the threads are really thin and narrow like these are, when inking the pen up, ink will get into the threads and can be difficult to extract with just a dry tissue or paper towel or a rag. You really need to have something with a bit of moisture in there in order to get the ink out of the crevices. Franklin Christoph has this design element on a number of their pens, and their solution is to have more wide and blocky threads, which are easier to clean after inking. This isn't a major issue, more of a pet peeve on my part. The pen feels very comfortable and well balanced in the hand. I like how when the pen is inked, as it is right now, the generous ink window really kind of blends in more with the rest of the pen, kind of hiding in plain sight, rather than just being a large clear gap in the pen. The cap does post. It posts rather deeply and is plenty secure. I don't find that posting throws off the balance of this pen, so if you are fond of posting your pens, this one will work well for you. This one is a piston filler. I find the piston to work well. I'm not going to twist it. It's inked up right now. And it's very smooth to operate. The Nahvalur Horizon line can be found at a large number of retailers and sells for $168. I feel that that's a reasonable price for what you receive with this pen. It's very well built, it feels very solid in the hand, and has some thoughtful and intriguing design elements to incorporate the nature theme of this pen. And I've been impressed with Nahvalur's in-house nibs. So for the price point, I feel it's right for this pen, especially with a nice custom resin. Thanks again. Go out to the good folks at Nahvalur for providing this pen for review. Now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Nahvalur Horizon Twilight. I just wanted to give another look at that resin. I just think it's really sharp. Even like a little bit of the spots of brown that are in here. I think that at least with Starry Night does a really good job with her resins. In regard to a couple of other Nahvalur pens, this is what it looks like with the original Demonstrator. And then this is the original Demonstrator Plus. And then here it is with a Nautilus. Then in regard to a couple of non-Nahvalur pens, here it is with a Platinum 3776, the Yamanaka. Here it is with a Diplomat Aero. And then finally, here it is with a Sailor Pro Gear. This one is actually called the Konreki. Here we go with the writing sample for the Nahvalur. And this is the Horizon Twilight. And this is a broad stainless steel nib. And since this is a green pen, I had to use one of my favorite inks lately. I know I'm showing it a lot, but you know, with a green pen, I had to use it. And that would be Tassia Sabamadori. This is what the ink looks like. It's really interesting because I know I've shown this before, but this is what the bottle looks like. And when it first goes on, you can see that that is very blue. That doesn't look very green. It starts blue and then kind of dries into this greenish blue, which is really cool to watch. And this is what it looks like in comparison to Guitar's Lady Emerald. And then here it is with Robert Oster's River of Fire. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. In general, I've been very impressed with Narwhal's in-house nibs. This broad is fairly smooth with just a hint of feedback. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of there. The ink flow is very generous on here. I'd say it's above average. And in regard to reverse writing, it's very smooth. And lays down a fine line. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up very well. So there you have the Nahvalur Horizon Twilight. I think this is an interesting new model for them with some features that I enjoy. I really kind of like that wavy band on there, and the combination of the wavy band and the ink window I just think is unique, and I like it. So it's worth checking out, especially for the price. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.